Bitcoin just ripped above 97,000 cuckbucks. 700 million in shorts were obliterated. And while the price is screaming one thing, Washington just showed you who really runs this country. Because today, the so-called Bitcoin and crypto market structure bill didn't get delayed. It got captured, killed, and gutted. Rewritten by the same banks that pay you 0.07% on your savings, while they quietly pocket 4 to 5% risk-free on your money. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear who Trump is reportedly considering to replace Jerome Powell, a BlackRock executive. Let that sink in. The central bank replaced by the largest asset manager on the planet. Today's show explains why the bill collapsed, who actually killed it, why Bitcoin and stablecoin yields terrify banks, and how this same banking cartel has been pulling the strings for over 100 years. This isn't conspiracy. This is history, and Bitcoin just broke their control. That's right, we got a big one today. Let's start with the scoreboard. Bitcoin just reclaimed 97K, the highest level since November. And in the last 24 hours alone, 700 million in leveraged shorts vaporized. That's leverage getting wiped off the board while Congress is tripping over itself. In short, Bitcoin doesn't care. Today was supposed to be a big moment for Bitcoin and crypto in America. Instead, the Senate Banking Committee just pulled the vote. No markup, no progress. Why? Well, because after reviewing the final draft, Brian Armstrong pulled Coinbase's support. And when the biggest regulated crypto exchange in America says this bill is worse than doing nothing, well, that's a little bit of a 5-alarm fire. Armstrong didn't walk because regulation is bad. He walked because the bill wasn't regulation. It was protectionism. Here's what was buried in the 278-page draft. Tokenized equities effectively banned. DeFi treated like banks, full surveillance. CFTC weakened. SEC empowered. Stablecoin yield quietly strangled. Translation, innovation gets boxed in and banks get protected. Let me make this painfully simple. Banks pay you checking 0.07%, savings 0.39%. Meanwhile, treasuries are yielding almost 4%. That difference? That's all bank profit. If stablecoins pass yield to users, banks lose deposits. The Kansas City Fed modeled it. Result? 1.5 trillion in lending capacity disappears. So what did the banks do? They didn't compete. They legislated. 53 banking associations backed this bill, not to protect consumers or innovation, but to protect 6.6 trillion in deposits. This wasn't quote-unquote crypto clarity. This was Dodd-Frank for digital assets. If you can't win in the markets, you win in Congress. Now let's zoom out, because this isn't happening in isolation. The banking cartel doesn't retreat quietly. And we have some massive news regarding Jerome Powell. Trump looking at a BlackRock executive for Fed chairman. What's coming, and a little history lesson you're not supposed to know. But let's go ahead and start here. The Federal Reserve is not a government institution created for public stability, but a privately controlled banking cartel designed to consolidate financial power, socialize risk, and enable long-term wealth transfer from the public to the elites. And, well, they've been pulling the strings for a very long time. And here we go. If you want a little history lesson, some good stuff, there's a free PDF available online of this. And if you turn to page 9, there is an interesting quote. Quote, "Give me control over a nation's currency and I don't care who makes its laws." Meyer, Amschel, Rothschild. Now, if you've been watching this show for a while, you know I've kind of told you for a while who the real president is. And that's Big L, Larry Stank. So when you see what's going on, don't be surprised. Don't give up, double down, because everything is becoming too obvious for people not to notice. Remember, there's a big club, and we ain't in it. And we have zero desire to be. But while we're at it, let's go ahead and get a little check-in on Mar-a-Lago. And the way you look tonight. Sure, Totally normal. Just some weird satanic furry convention. To each their own, I guess. But let's get back to business. Jay Powell is in big trouble, and this is coming from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro. Let's watch these clips. Then I got a little secret history lesson for you on the origins of the Fed and how BlackRock came to be.
But today I'm the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, and with that job comes a responsibility to investigate and prosecute violations of federal crime in D.C., along with D.C. code crime. And my request in this case with the Federal Reserve was a legal request. And the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Powell, chose not to give a legal response. Instead, he chose to politicize and publicize. I did not politicize or publicize any of this. I follow the federal rules. I investigate until I have evidence. And if and when I do, then I go forward with a public statement. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about $1 billion in cost overruns. Talk about fiscal irresponsibility. Talk about bureaucratic bloat. We're not talking about $1 million, $10 million, $100 million. We're talking about $1 billion in cost overruns in D.C., and something that is purely in my lane as the United States Attorney to investigate, as well as lying before Congress. So both of these things are issues that I looked at, and on December 19th, we started the investigation in November. On December 19th, we sent a letter, an email, and we said, we'd like to talk to people at the Federal Reserve. Give us a call. No response for 10 days. December 29th. Please give us a call. We'd like to talk to you. We'd like to speak to you. No response for 10 days. We want to meet them the first week of January. No response. So then we did what any normal prosecutor would do, and we issued legal process. I'm not saying that. He's saying that. So does the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell respond to that? No. What he does is he issues a video. He claims that he's being threatened with a criminal indictment, threatened that the independence of the Fed is under attack, which couldn't be further from the truth. Now, normally what people do is they pick up the phone, they call you, they say, yeah, let's talk about it. But if they had responded, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. And he's using this language about the independence of the Federal Reserve as some kind of ability for them to ignore any kind of legal oversight or legal scrutiny, or that would require us not to investigate potential lying before Congress. That's not how we work. No one is above the law. And so what we've got now is a case that, you know, the chairman is he's objecting to, and I can't tell if the claims are out of control or whether they're true. You know, if there are cost overruns, is it the contract? Is it the subcontractors, the contractors? Is it normal? And lying to Congress. Did he know about it? Did he know about the numbers? Did he not know about it? I do an investigation, and I do it quietly until I get to the point where I can say something. But the chairman says, no, you're attacking the independence of the Federal Reserve. That's not what we're doing. We're doing our job. And I think the sad part about this is no one is above the law, nor should anyone think that they have the right to be above the law, Sean. And I'm curious to those who claim, oh, my gosh, this is a terrible thing, even in our own party. What do you suggest? Are there certain people that you cannot investigate? Are there certain people that we look the other way and throw complaints in the drawer? That's not the America that I grew up in, Sean.
Just to be clear, Judge, you gave them an opportunity to just talk to you and say, what's going on here? Why are these massive cost overruns? They didn't get back to you. That's what happened? Three times. He didn't
respond. Okay. Instead, he comes out with this crazy video.
If you write me one time and I don't respond, I'm dead. So it would have been smart if they just responded and had a conversation with you.
The Federal Reserve occupies a unique spot in the American governmental process. They have no supervision, they have no accountability, and I think that we will look at this and think that couple of things on Chair Powell's watch. The Fed is now losing $100 billion a year, $100 billion, with no accountability.
Yeah.
We had the worst inflation in 49 years, and we'll see what the tally ends up being, but
Got it.
Very good chance that we will have had ethics violations over the past 4 to 6 of the regional presidents or governors, and there needs to be some accountability.
So it's an investigation. We'll leave it at that.
Massive stuff. This has never happened. This war on the Fed has never happened, and we see Rick Reeder likely being the next chairman. Eyes wide shut at Mar-a-Lago and people lose their minds. Don't! They're showing you who they are. Let them. But do not eat the cake. Throw that shit in the trash. We don't need institutions. We don't need yield. We don't need politicians, though there's a few good guys still kicking around. And at the end of the day, the big bad bankers know they can't with Bitcoin.
JP Morgan is allowing clients to pledge Bitcoin and Ether as collateral for loans. Leslie Picker is joining us now with details. Hi, Leslie.
Hey, Morgan. Yeah, and chatting with sources familiar with the matter, I'm told it's still early days. And for now, the concept is limited to the firm's trading business. JP Morgan's trading business has, for a few months now, accepted IBIT, the ETF, as a form of collateral, which it sees as less volatile as the underlying currency. However, I'm told that certain hedge fund managers and asset managers are demanding more of these types of crypto services. Although, again, I'm told that offering Bitcoin and Ether as collateral for trading is not imminent at the firm. While many remember, as you mentioned, Morgan, Jamie Dimon's comments about Bitcoin being, say, a pet rock, he has moderated his tone recently.
Now we have a little history lesson to go through, but before we do, look at our likes.
3 or 4 times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Let's take a moment to recognize our sponsors powering this show over at the Bitcoin Way. At the Bitcoin Way, they'll walk you through all things Bitcoin, like it's kindergarten with Satoshi. From setting up your first wallet to running your first node and so much more. No tech skills needed. The Bitcoin Way has got you covered. You want $1 million Bitcoin? Better act like it. Self-custody is not optional. That is the revolution. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with the Bitcoin Way today using that link in the show notes. Today's show is brought to you by Ledn. If you ever need cash without selling your Bitcoin, Ledn makes that possible. The global leader in Bitcoin-backed lending, Ledn has issued over $9 billion in loans since 2018, and they have a perfect record of protecting client assets. No credit checks, funds in less than 6 hours, no monthly payments, repay whenever you want with 0 penalties, and proof of reserves reports, verified by a top accounting firm, are published every 6 months. Ledn gives Bitcoin holders a secure, transparent way to unlock liquidity without selling. Learn more at learn.ledn.io/simply. That's learn.ledn.io/simply. Let's go ahead and end with a history lesson you were never supposed to hear. The Warburg brothers, Paul Warburg and Max Warburg, were not just random German bankers who showed up in America in the early 1900s. Their family lineage goes back over 500 years, originally known as Del Banco, one of the most powerful banking families in the 1500s in Venice. When Venetian finance collapsed, Anselmo del Banco was the last banker standing. Same bloodline, same capital, just new names and new cities. They moved quietly as power shifted. Venice to Bologna, Warburg, Hamburg, New York, London. Power doesn't disappear, it just relocates. The Warburgs didn't just enter American finance, they married into it. Paul Warburg married into the Loeb family. Felix Warburg married into the Schiff family. Both families funded Kuhn, Loeb and Company, one of the most influential banks in U.S. history. Jacob Schiff, Felix's father-in-law, personally financed half of Japan's war budget during the Russo-Japanese War. One banker, one war. That's the scale of influence we're talking about. In 1910, Paul Warburg attended the secret Jekyll Island meeting, where representatives of J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and the U.S. Treasury designed what would become the Federal Reserve. The plan was kept secret for years because they knew the truth. If Americans understood who designed the system, it would never pass. During World War II, Max Warburg's son, Eric Warburg, worked with the OSS, the precursor to the CIA, alongside Prescott Bush and George H.W. Bush, helping seed what became Warburg Pincus, one of the most powerful private equity firms on Earth. Fast forward to today, Warburg Pincus manages over $100 billion. Their former London bank was absorbed into UBS, now managing trillions. The dynasty never left, it just went quiet. Now get this, the current chairman of Warburg Pincus is Timothy Geithner, the same Treasury Secretary who handed no-bid bailout contracts to BlackRock during the 2008 financial crisis under TARP, the regulator deciding where trillions of public dollars go. Later, chairs a fund tied to the same banking dynasty. That's why elections feel like a sideshow. Governments rotate every 4 years. The system has lasted centuries. And now when you hear that Rick Rieder could be next in line to chair the Fed, understand this clearly. He isn't an anomaly. He's just the latest iteration. Different names, same network, same game. And this is exactly why Bitcoin exists. And also, when these people say they're not passing the bill and protecting the banks, well, let me show you why that's all bullshit. Because what the president wants, the president gets.
I would say the biggest question from central banks is what is the role of tokenization and digitization? How quickly should they think about digitizing their own currency? What does that mean for the role of the dollar? If every currency digitizes and we have, what does that mean for bank payments? What does that mean for the payment companies like MasterCard and Visa? All these are being questioned right now. I think we spend so much time talking about AI. We're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset and the opportunity we're going to have a digital wallet and moving ETFs and other things through a digital wallet. And I think that's going to happen worldwide very rapidly. And I think most countries are ill-prepared for that and underappreciate how technology is changing that, not unlike how technology is changing AI and other things. It will be changing the technology around the plumbing of finance.
Bitcoin doesn't need yield. It's the apex predator, and these people want you in their walled dystopian garden to keep you poor and compliant. And we're not going to let that happen. Bitcoin's moment is here, and it's the only way to protect yourself from these wolves in sheep's clothing.
That's why I want to custody my own digital assets. Let me tell you what happened to me. You know this story. My husband and I, when he was still alive and we had joint bank accounts, was moving our accounts from one bank to another. During that same week, I was off campaigning elsewhere in Wyoming. So he moved our accounts, he signed the accounts, but I was away, and so my signature wasn't on him yet. He died suddenly in the middle of the night of a massive heart attack, and my name was not on any of our accounts. During all that moving, he had also moved his will, so I couldn't find it. So I couldn't get letters testamentary so I could be the executor of his estate. And it was scary and unnerving because I didn't have access to my own money. Mm-hmm. And when someone else is custodying your money, you have an IOU, but you don't have that immediate access to your own money. So that really frightening experience for me also led me to look for ways that I could self-custody that was safer than putting cash under a mattress, but still provided me that kind of access. Mm-hmm. And I found it in Bitcoin. And so I'm a big proponent of self-custody, of individual wallets, of the sovereignty that I have to store my wealth the way I choose, and not the way the government chooses.
The center of gravity of the financial universe of the 21st century emerging is Bitcoin.
I see a world where there are many types of assets, but the king apex asset, the root asset, which everything else is settled on, or everything else is oriented to, the center of gravity of the financial universe of the 21st century emerging is Bitcoin. Just like, that falls toward the center of gravity, which is the middle of the earth, and none of you have been there. That doesn't mean that it doesn't control everybody, right? Everything will be oriented in a frame of reference.
They want you in a walled garden. Low yield, high control, permanent dependence. Bitcoin is the opposite. Open, neutral, relentless. The center of gravity of the 21st century financial system is shifting, and no bill, no cartel, no central banker, no politician can stop it. Bitcoin's moment is here. And the possibility of World War III is higher than ever, which is probably a good time to visit our new sponsor, Sat123. Because when cell service dies, life doesn't have to. Sat123 hooks you up with real satellite phones, Starlink kits, and rugged off-grid internet that works anywhere. Mountains, ocean, middle of nowhere, it doesn't matter. If you care about preparedness, freedom, and staying connected when it actually counts, go to sat123.com. That's sat123.com, and don't forget to use promo code SIMPLY for 15% off. No signal? No problem. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a pat by sharing the Sound Money Gospel. Dante, Sophie, Oceans all have some great stuff coming your way. So set those notifications and stay tuned. I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll catch you next time. Love you guys. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, you.